Becca Mallory, Communications Director. I just want to go over, I assume it's going to be like this anyway, a couple housekeeping rules. Please make sure you silence your cell phones if you haven't done so already, so that we don't have that weird sound when your phone rings. And then if you've got questions, save them until after he finishes his speech. Okay, it is now my honor to introduce Superintendent Andy Gardner to give you an update on our situation.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. Just a few quick comments. At some point, I'll turn it over to questions. On Monday night, December 2nd, the GAEA Teachers Union ratified the new 24 through 27 contract by a vote of 87% of those voting. Shortly thereafter, that same evening, in an emergency session, the GAP School Board ratified as well, and we now have a contract. We are happy that the strike now comes to an end and that kids can return to school and teachers can return there as well and do what they do best. We express our deepest sympathy with the families of this district whose lives were interrupted for this period of time. We know that's been a burden on them, and that was in our minds as we reached and worked towards resolution over the last 3 weeks. The strike began on November 12th. It was ratified on December 2nd. Students were out of school for 10 student contact days during that period. As we worked towards an agreement, our priority was to restore as many of those student contact days as we could. We reached agreement with the union on a return to work agreement that would make up 8 of those days. The district, in agreeing to those 8 student contact days, agreed to a 9th work day at the end of the year. We had changed the Thursday and Friday, adding a day and a half of student contact time. But that would have left the teachers without a work day at the end of the year. Both groups agreed that it was necessary. We did not have school during Thanksgiving week. We had 2 days scheduled for parent-teacher conferences. Those days were not as important as student contact days. The district will continue to work with GAEA to see if parent-teacher conferences in some form can be done, but there is no agreement at this time to do anything. The district's priority through this, and this was agreed to by the GAEA about a year ago, to improve the compensation for its teachers. The previous contract, 2021 to 24, did not anticipate the inflation that occurred, and early in bargaining, both sides roughly agreed that teachers had fallen behind about 9% against inflation. Furthermore, in comparing with other school districts, the district recognized the compensation for our most senior teachers was low compared to other districts, and so we have worked on that. The initial year settlement is for a 7% increase, with the teachers at the very top of the scale getting a 9% increase as we work to be more competitive and to help them out. There are 4 days which are not being paid to the teachers at this time. Teachers do have the option to recoup some of that in teaching summer school in the coming summer. The primary focus of the district now returns to students, but also returns to how we heal and how people can come together. We do not know the individual reasons that the teachers, as individuals, engage in the strike, but there's lots of learning to be done there and lots of wounds to heal with each other, with the community, and help the district to move forward in a healthy way. We do not yet know the impact of the strike in terms of the number of our students. We are currently looking closely at students who have left. Some of those are just leaving because of the normal course of events, moving to another state, etc. So we are going to have to take some time to determine which of those students has requested to leave because of frustration with schools being closed. So we don't really have anything concrete yet to tell you on that. We remain confident that the teachers of this district love the kids and do a great job in their classroom. And we hope that this return to this focus can lead us to once again reset student learning as the priority of this district. And we will work through and give time for the healing that needs to take place. And we commit ourselves to fully supporting teachers in that work. I'll take any questions you have. Yes?
I was wondering if you could help me understand the insurance situation. I know there was some discussion on at the emergency school board meeting about how to reinstate it or make it retroactive. Can you tell me what the status of that is right now?
That has been resolved through the return to work agreement. The issue was never that teachers would not have insurance. The issue was that the GAEA and the state OEA would pay for it through the strike fund. If you look in the OEA statewide policy manual, you will see that they will cover major medical, dental, vision, those sort of things. They had informed us that they would, and so we did not have any intention that teachers would be without insurance. The great discussion was whether OEA would pay for the insurance and how that would be done. Any follow-up?
Well, so I mean, because I remember at this board meeting there was talk about we had some liability concerns if we didn't reinstate immediately. That's why I'm wondering why there seemed to be some debate, like the board had some control over how soon to get that all rolling.
So that was resolved at the time of the contract resolution, and OEB, there was some debate over whether an employee on strike was what is called an active employee, and we felt that we had resolved that when they returned to work, and so there was really 1 day difference, and we did not believe that that would be something that would stand in the way of an agreement. Yes?
Yes. Do you have at the moment a cost for the new contract now? What that will cost the district, the total, like a dollar figure for that?
Our major focus was on the first year, and we'll have to look at the second year as we find out what the funding from the state will look like. We also need to, because our funding comes on enrollment, that has an impact as well to future projections. The 7 and the 9%, and insurance was really just like 3.4% over the next 2 years. We believe that we are still within budget, but we do have costs associated with the strike and the makeup days that we will have to incorporate as well.
So, no, like hard dollar figure.
No, we've been busy in mediation and have not had time to turn to this, and we are starting that work today.
Okay. And I mean, just to follow up, make sure I'm understanding correctly, do you have an idea of maybe how far that maybe you have to dip into the reserve in the beginning fund balance? Is it different from what the levels you had set for?
Well, you know, there's not enough clear information yet. We know that the offer that we gave and that we settled on, which we had given in August, was within budget. And so we don't know yet what the ramifications are of all of that. We have to do the math before we can really fine tune that out. And probably as we know more, we'll be sharing that at board meetings and be happy to share that with you.
And then I was wondering if you help clarify sort of the timeline for when the class size fund was proposed, throughout this process. I mean, my understanding that came out from the district once the strike had started. Is that fair characterization?
I would have to go back and say the exact timing. The $500,000 fund has been a common response among districts to class size, so that it limits in some way the district's liability there, that it's not just an unlimited expenditure based on how many students might surprise us. But I can't recall that that occurred either during the bargaining. I know that it was a late issue. I know that the resolution did not occur until the final day.
It seemed like once the strike started, that was the district came back with the offer for, I guess it started at 250 and then 300.
Yeah.
And then 500.
I can't comment on that today. Just the timing, I didn't know what day it was. So we would have to go back and look at that. But we recognized that, that was a priority of GAEA, and we wanted to make sure that we had some flexibility in how we responded to those. I think it's also important to note that even this year, we had some oversized classrooms, and the district has already fixed those issues even as we were working on this. And in my time in the district, when we have had oversized classrooms that were appealed, that we have taken action as well.
And then just one more follow-up on the class size, from which I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah.
I believe the union had, their number was 1.5 million. Was that for 1 year or for just the entire?
That would have been a one-year fund of 1.5 million.
That they want on each?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, if you could highlight any changes in proposal or major movements that you considered between the second and third week of the strike? What were the biggest changes in proposal, do you think?
I think the ultimate issue there was class size. And so we ended up with a memorandum of understanding for next year to support kindergarten. And what we agreed to do was take 200,000 of that 500,000 and commit that to kindergarten exclusively. And that's a one-year MOU that will expire at the end of next year, and we'll evaluate that with GAEA at that time.
And with regard to prep time, it also seemed like there wasn't before the strike until, once the strike happened, then there was a sort of guarantee of a 6 of 8 schedule for the 2 high schools next year. Is that right?
No, we're certain that. So we had reached an informal understanding with the teachers of a previous bargaining group in 2023 that we would move towards that. It became difficult then to work with the staff and implement it outside of bargaining because it was a bargaining issue, and it's difficult to work on something that is being bargained at that time. But if memory serves me correctly, we had agreed to the high school language in October.
Although I know you wanted that to happen this year.
Yeah, really the reason we did not want to have it this year was because this is the hard funding biennium. And we wanted to make sure that we put a good compensation offer out as a priority because that would benefit everyone. And the high school schedule would benefit about 150 of 585 members.
Just to clarify again about the settlement agreement, maybe you have these figures ready. Is there a cost figure for that, for the makeup days, for teachers, for the 8 of 10 instructional days that were missed, and changing the work days?
You mean a further modification, or?
Well, it's just, is there a cost figure associated with that return agreement?
No, we'll still need to put that together. That is, I know that's conjectural at this point for us, just because we just don't have enough of an idea about the specific numbers. Do you rest?
I think I'll rest for now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it. Thanks for the great questions. Okay.
If you guys have any further follow-up questions, and then